I'm back at it, Japanese convenience store ramen, this time featuring Lawson Ramen. Lawson is one of the biggest Japanese convenience stores, and I have 3 of their exclusive ramen here that I'm going to share with you today. First up, we got a chicken and fish-based shoyu or soy sauce ramen. Number 2, a spicy but creamy egg, Taiwan Maza Soba style soupless ramen. And lastly, I've got a brand new item. This is an epic tie-up between Lawson and Menya Musashi. Menya Musashi is a famous Tokyo ramen group. Oh, and it's a cold summer ramen. Let's see how these 3 stack up versus 7-Eleven and Family Mart. Starting now. For those of you new here, I'm Frank from 5 AM Ramen. I was born and raised in Tokyo and I live and breathe ramen. This channel is dedicated to bringing you the very best ramen in Tokyo and the very best ramen in Japan. So Lawson completes the trinity of convenience stores. We've got 7-Eleven, Family Mart, and Lawson. I haven't had Lawson ramen in a while, so I'm really excited to see what they put forth, including some of their limited edition ramen. When I was a kid, I always had a soft spot for Lawson, especially their karaage-kun. It's fried chicken, comes in a number of different flavors, and that would be my go-to every time I would go to Lawson. So first up, Yokai Totori no Umami Shoyu Ramen, which is basically fish, chicken as an umami bomb, assisted by soy sauce. Looking at the calorie count, I'm guessing this is going to be pretty light. It also looks like a very clear soup when I just tossed it in the microwave. Let's confirm that right now. The seasoning is a little bit on the sweeter side. That could be coming from the soy sauce. Maybe they added mirin, for example. With that soup, there's just enough of that kind of chicken bone richness. And the fish is there, especially when you smell it, but not overbearing at all. Very nicely balanced. I'm liking this one very much so far. This one also comes with the white pepper. White pepper is a little bit more bitter than black pepper. I personally would just add a little bit because it takes quite a bit away from the soy sauce and the broth in my opinion. Here we go, the noodles. You can see they're about medium thick. Also fairly straight. Really soaking in that broth. They've also got a good bite to them. A lot of the toppings in here are kind of classic. We've got memma bamboo shoots, naruto or the fish cake, a little bit of spinach, and also quite a generous helping of grilled chashu pork. This looks really good. Let's see what it tastes like. Very nice. Lawson is delivering so far. With this one, they're not trying to emulate a particular ramen shop, but I can see what they're trying to do. They've got that chicken bone richness coming through just enough alongside that fish and soy sauce base. Delicious. Now off to the second ramen. This one has the most calories out of the 3, clocking in at 735 calories. It's a egg creamy, soupless type of ramen that started in Nagoya. Let's dive in. Ramen number 2. This is a Taiwan Maza Soba. This soupless ramen style started at a restaurant called Menya Musashi in Nagoya City. And this Taiwan Maza Soba that you see here is actually directly from the shop. This is a tie-up between them and Lawson. So I'm sure they looked at everything with a magnifying glass, trying to make it as close as possible to the actual ramen shop. So normally what it includes is egg yolk sauce for creaminess, a fish powder, seaweed, nira, also a whole lot of garlic, and a certain spiciness along with minced pork. On a separate note, I love the packaging on this. You can see how happy the rep from Hanabi looks. Back in the day, ramen shops, some of their posing would be like this. Like very serious, very stern. I love the fact that he's smiling. Makes me want to eat this more. It says here to give it a thorough mix and do it about 45 times. I'm surprised they didn't say like 45.7 times. Quite a forearm workout. Wayne Gretzky, I'm gonna try with the left hand. Yep, that's not working out. All right, about 45.7 times. Now I'm gonna dive into the noodles. Look at that beauty. I can smell the fish powder already. Excelente. These thick noodles are like magnets, pulling everything in. Pulling in the seaweed, the nira, the minced pork. Amazing, amazing. The spice hits you a little bit later, but it's also doused by that creamy egg yolk. Now, what was cool is that in the packet, they also included this. This is basically a kelp vinegar, and they specifically say on the package here, do not toss this in the microwave. I didn't put in the whole packet, just want to see what it does to everything. Another 45.7 mixes. Mix, mix, mix. That's a nice companion. It doesn't take away anything. The fish flavor is still there. The egg yolk creaminess is still there, as well as that spice. If anything, maybe it elevates it. It does add a sour acidity, and because it's kombu, kelp, there is a lot of umami. They're very generous with the minced pork too. Again, calorie count highest on this one, but it doesn't matter. I got my workout in. 47.5, 47.5. That was crazy good. Big contrast from the previous one, where it was a light, refreshing broth with thin noodles. Here, more in your face, uber thick, soupless ramen style noodles. And when you've got the ramen shop that created Taiwan Maza Soba to be part of the collab, of course, they're gonna do a good job. Now, moving on to the final round. We've got a Lawson and Menya Musashi tie-up. This is a cold summer ramen that just went on sale. Super excited to try this one. Final round. This is the hiyashi Maji Soba. This is actually a cold ramen. You might be surprised to know that there's a fair amount of cold ramen actually in Japan, and with the brutally humid summers, it hits the spot. So this is an epic tie-up between Lawson and Menya Musashi. Menya Musashi was founded in 1996 by a guy called Yamada-san. What's cool about them is that each of their 12 shops or so in Tokyo have their own personality and their own taste. In their history, they've been very open to collaborations and also doing unique and new things, like this Valentine's Day chocolate skemen. In another video, I'll cover in full detail Menya Musashi and their samurai themed ramen. So the name of this ramen, it's kind of a play on words. It's called hiyashi Maji Soba. Now the characters for Maji basically are the same characters for seriousness or for real sword. Majiro is also the mix. Now the soup is meant to be pork and fish based, and there's not much soup when you've got cold ramen. It's kind of like soupless ramen. What they have here as well is a nice togarashi spice. I'm gonna mix that in a little bit with the ramen. Interesting, you taste something kind of citrusy in there with the spice, but it goes really well with that broth, which again is cold. Relatively light and refreshing, and a little bit nutty, kind of like sesame nutty. In terms of toppings, you've got chilled cabbage and bean sprouts, and they give a nice kind of refreshing chilled crunch alongside those noodles. The other toppings include thinly sliced pork, as well as a whole egg. This is the only one where we got the flavored egg, or the ajitama inside. My expectations are never high for convenience store eggs. I mean, not bad though. And the noodles here are super thick, just like the soupless ramen we had. These noodles definitely have a very nice bite to them. This is also because I didn't toss them into the microwave, they weren't cooking, but still, very nice springy bites. Two things that all three of these have in common. One is that fish flavor. It's present in all of them, although I think it was biggest in the Taiwan Maza Soba. Number two is that they're all a little bit sweet. Interesting. It's like Lawson has a sweet tooth or something. Of course, Japanese cuisine can be on the sweeter side, especially when you're using things like mirin, but these are all sweet. The garlic is in this one as well, but it doesn't take over everything. Still, just a gentle amount, as gentle as you can be with garlic. Always nice to see creativity coming out of the Menya Musashi factory. Now I've got to rank them, tougher than eating them. I just want to say before I start ranking them that Lawson has really delivered the goods. I wasn't sure what to expect because again, I haven't had Lawson ramen in a long time, but in terms of being up there with 7-Eleven and Family Mart, they definitely are. So hats off to Lawson. Now, ranking the three, this is tough. First of all, I like to point out that the third one, coming from Menya Musashi, the cold ramen was excellent. The crunch coming from the cabbage, just enough garlic, and those noodles were amazing. I just might have preferred the other two that much more. But again, ingenious bowl, and you would expect nothing less from Menya Musashi. Now, for number two, this one's tough, but I think I'm gonna go with the Taiwan Maza Soba. This was fantastic. I'm a big fan of this style, but this one was definitely on the fishier side. So if you're not a big fan of fish, this might be a little bit too fishy. But other than that, delicious, delicious bowl. Now for the last one, of course, shoyu ramen to me is king, and I think I have to go with the shoyu ramen. It was just beautifully balanced, I think, between that chicken bone richness, again, that stickiness that clings to your lips, and that fish accent alongside it. Little classic touches there with the toppings too, and a bowl I loved overall. Now again, it wasn't like 3 was here, 1 was here, it was all here. I would buy all 3 of these again in a heartbeat, and again, Lawson did a great job here, and I'm gonna be buying more Lawson ramen in the future. This is Frank from 5AM Ramen, thanking you for joining today and reminding you that Tokyo is the only city where you can get incredible ramen at 5 a.m., including from Lawson. Thank you for joining again. Honestly, I don't know how to rank them. They're all so good.